I would argue that this is one of the most critical things in all of game, because what we're talking about is the essence of when someone says, be confident. Just, it's the only way to get girls, just be confident. A lot of that stems from your frame. A lot of that stems from your belief system. It stems from what are you taking into the interaction. And so to have a good understanding of frames is to have a good understanding of how people are, of the assumptions and the meaning that people bring into interactions. So what is a frame? A frame is the underlying meaning of an interaction. A frame is the assumption that you are carrying into any interaction with anybody ever, right? This carries into your interactions with women in what I think are relatively obvious ways, which is that you have assumptions that you take into your interactions with women all the time. And if you are in this room, there is a 9 out of 10 chance that your assumptions suck, right? That is the tie that binds us, not you, us, right? I have gotten over it over time, but I still hear that ugly little voice in my head that goes, I'm too mohawky for girls, right? But the thing is, once you understand how frames work, you realize that that having a strong frame and frame control are some of the most powerful things you have. They're unstoppable, because people tend to have weak frames. Their assumptions are not actually that hard-coded. There are a few things that people will be like, no, this is unacceptable. Like, there are some people out there, let's go for a really hardcore frame, right? We're going to make some people a little uncomfortable. Racism, right? There are certain women who are racist. There's no getting around it, right? Guess what? You're not going to be able to date those girls if you don't conform to that. There are women who will not date me because I am white. There are women who will not date you because you are white or whatever, right? Now, other frames, though, like rich, tall, short, sometimes those are hard-coded. But for the most part, by having a strong enough frame on your end, by having stronger assumptions about how awesome you are, you can overpower frames. And most people they don't have enough willpower, they don't have enough confidence, they don't have a determination to adhere to a specific frame. And they're just highly malleable. And so what you can do is decide what the frame that you want is and push that like an agenda, okay? And women tend to have weaker frames. Women tend to, they are more emotionally fluid as a rule. I try to, anytime I say something like that like I know if a feminist was in the room, she'd throw a harpoon at me. I want to back this thing up, which is that starting at puberty, our brains are marinating in testosterone, where we have, which you might be aware of. And testosterone does a couple things. It wants status. It tries to see who has the highest status and tries to either supplant or kowtow to that person. And I don't know if you figured this out. It wants to fuck. Testosterone's like, I want to fuck and I want to fuck now. Whereas women, starting at puberty, do not have the same thing. Women, and our testosterone levels stay the same basically until around old age. Whereas women get this flood of neurotransmitters and hormones that changes, in some women, our favorite types, hourly, but at the very least, in accordance with their menstrual cycle. So different levels of progesterone, estrogen, vasopressin, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. These things change dramatically over time. So women tend to be more fluid. That's why they are more emotional. And what this means is that if you come in with a brain that has a sort of a rock-solid vantage point locked in the power of testosterone, you can set what the frame is. And when somebody has a more malleable frame, which alphas tend to lead betas, and women tend to have more submissive and beta characteristics, then by setting a strong frame, by setting a dominant frame, then you will be able to define the dynamic of the interaction. And this is crucial. I mean, it's absolutely crucial. This is at the heart of the things that I have corrected students on for 5 years now. The things that you see over and over and over and over and over and over again are about frames. They're always about the underlying assumptions that you and I carry into the interactions.